This is Kenya News Update today. A country in Africa is about to hold an election that could change everything. But here's the twist: the president running for a third term is protected by Russian mercenaries, and the opposition is boycotting. In the next 4 minutes, you'll discover how a nation's desperate search for security is being traded for its democracy. Meet the Central African Republic, a landlocked nation of 5.5 million people that has known more war than peace. For decades, armed groups have torn this country apart. But in 2016, President Faustin Archange Touadera came to power, promising stability. His solution, a deal with Russia's Wagner Group. Private mercenaries arrived, promising to fight rebels and restore order, and for a while it seemed to work. But here's what nobody's talking about: the price of that security. In 2023, President Touadera held a constitutional referendum. The goal: remove presidential term limits. With Wagner's protection, he won. The result: he can now run for a third term, and that's exactly what he's doing. Elections are set for December 28th, but this isn't a normal vote. Earlier this year, his decision to run again sparked street protests that drew thousands, and a major opposition group has vowed to boycott the entire process. Human rights organizations are sounding the alarm about repression, but the story gets even more complicated. Because the Russian security deal is now cracking. This year, Moscow demanded a change. They want to replace the Wagner mercenaries with their official military unit, the Afrika Korps, and they're demanding payment for any additional security. But the Central African government is reluctant. Local officials, speaking anonymously, say they consider Wagner more efficient, and they'd rather pay in something other than cash. They prefer to pay in minerals, gold, diamonds, the country's rich natural resources. So the election is happening under the shadow of a foreign power struggle. Who really controls security? Who really controls the president? Meanwhile, the United Nations peacekeeping mission, MINUSCA, is still there. They have around 14,000 military personnel and 3,000 police officers who will help secure polling stations. But last month, the United Nations Security Council extended their mandate, while also indicating their presence would be reduced due to budget cuts. A spokeswoman said the reduction wouldn't compromise security. But can you trust that? This is a country where peace is fragile. A peace agreement was signed in 2019 with 14 armed groups, but 6 of them later withdrew. According to Human Rights Watch, the government has signed new deals recently, creating stability unseen for years. An NGO director said the country is in a safer situation than during the last election in 2020. Thanks to peace deals, United Nations efforts, and security from Wagner and Rwanda. But here's the part that will blow your mind. This entire election, this entire political future hinges on a private army's loyalty. Wagner protects Touadera. They helped him win the referendum. In exchange, they got access to mines. So what happens if Russia forces the switch to Afrika Korps? Does the protection vanish? Does the president fall? The stakes couldn't be higher. For the people of the Central African Republic, this isn't just about who leads them. It's about whether their sovereignty was sold for bullets and bodyguards. Some say the Russian presence brought needed stability. Others say it traded one form of violence for another, replacing rebel control with foreign exploitation. The polls open on December 28th, but the real power might not be on the ballot. It might be in a boardroom in Moscow, or a mining pit guarded by mercenaries. Do you think a country can buy its security without selling its democracy? Drop your take in the comments. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more on how global power plays are reshaping Africa.